Hi, I'm Ben,
And I'm Lucas.
and we are two aspiring filmmakers making unnecessary commentary on famous movies.
Each week, we will randomly select a film to analyze, discuss, and review.
We will select the film at the end of each podcast, so you will have ample time to watch the movie before the next episode.
We are slightly qualified film students.
Hello! Welcome back to another episode of Slightly Qualified Film Students.
Yes.
This week, gonna take a look at The Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro's romance, fantasy, I don't know what you'd call it,
It's
film from 2017.
It's like an adult fairy tale.
Yeah.
It's like a romantic thriller, fantasy. It's like a mix of a bunch of genres.
It's very weird.
Very
Won Best
odd
Picture.
film. Yeah, Best
a few
Picture
years back.
2017. And
Best Director too, I think.
yeah, he also picked up Best Director. It also got Best Production Design, which it definitely deserved, and Best Soundtrack, which also I think it definitely deserved.
For sure.
We got, yeah. I mean, I have a little bit of bias against this film just because it won Best Picture, and I thought there were quite a few films from 2017 that may have deserved picture over The Shape of Water. Nothing against this film, because 2017 was a fantastic year for film. We had some really incredible films that year. I mean, The Shape of Water is still definitely in my top 100 films of all time. It's just there's 3 films from 2017 that are above it. Call Me by Your Name, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and Get Out, that I feel might have been better
Get
Best Picture
Out
winners.
is kind of weird though. I don't think Get Out is necessarily Best Picture worthy.
I mean,
but I'm happy that it got recognition at the Oscars, because it's kind of an obscure film from Jordan Peele.
And it picked up Best Original Screenplay, which was crazy.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
Scott. It's very creative. I love Get Out.
Yeah.
Is it on the wheel?
It is.
Should be
Oh,
on the
no,
wheel.
it's not. It got requested, actually. It's next to go on the wheel, I believe.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got the plot summary here,
summary.
just in case
Nice. Nice.
you need it. Eliza, a lonely janitor, stumbles upon an amphibious creature that is held captive in a secret research facility. She then develops a unique relationship with the creature.
Yes, or as Guillermo del Toro describes it, woman sleeps with fish. That is the film.
Yeah, that does happen a few times in this film. Sally Hawkins plays Eliza, does a really great job. It's pretty interesting too. She obviously portrays a mute character in the film.
Yeah.
But there's still I feel like you get such a good emotional reaction when watching her.
Yeah. I mean, there's
Just
something
from,
really
her facial expressions.
Yeah, really impressive about acting with no dialogue, doing it all physically and through your eyes and through your face.
Very intimate scenes with no voice.
Exactly. And I mean, if you think about it, our second to main character, sort of, the amphibious man or the fish monster or whatever you want to call it, Doug Jones.
Yeah. Doug Jones
doesn't talk either. So we got basically the love story within this film, or the 2 main characters in this film, don't talk. And that's definitely risky to. I mean, this entire film is risky on everything, but it works. I mean, I think it works. Honestly, it still stays captivating. The film is still entertaining to a certain extent, even though there's definitely a lot of scenes with minimal dialogue. And yeah, I mean, I think it's really helmed in by Guillermo del Toro's really strong direction of this film. I definitely think he deserved Best Director. It may have not deserved Best Picture in my eyes, but I think Director, I'm okay with him picking that up, because I think he really did a good job just crafting this entire film.
Guillermo is like a master of the almost realism but fantasy kind of movies.
Yeah.
You got Pan's Labyrinth, which I haven't seen, but know it is very well received.
Yeah.
And his earlier Hellboy stuff I also haven't seen. I don't know if I'll watch that.
No,
Looks
I
a bit
wouldn't.
looks a
I
bit
would definitely watch Pan's Labyrinth though. Pan's Labyrinth is similar to
iffy.
The Shape of Water in its like tone, in its kind of adult fairy tale kind of vibe. It's
Yeah.
also very like violent and intense while being this kind of mystical, fantastical with all of these like creepy looking monsters. I think Pan's
Mhm.
Labyrinth is better than The Shape of Water on like a storytelling perspective, but I think The Shape of Water is Guillermo del Toro's best film on a technical perspective, looking at it through cinematography, production design, through his like grasp of like just bringing it all together in like the visual aspect. I think this film is very beautiful to look at,
Mhm.
and
For sure.
yeah, I think he really paid a lot of close attention to just all of the technical stuff within this film.
Yeah.
And also he did it with, I mean, it's not a huge budget. It's $20 million budget, which this film doesn't look like
Mhm.
a $20 million budget film. I mean, we
No.
were talking about Silence last time, which had a $40 million budget, which is double. And Silence was mostly filmed on location, where you have The Shape of Water mostly filming on sets and production design, which
I
tend to
mean,
cost
pretty
a
much
bit more money.
exclusively.
Yeah, which tend to
Pretty
cost
much
quite a bit more
exclusively on
money.
set.
And the production
Yeah.
design is so good in this movie. And yeah, I can't believe all of the stuff they did in this film from start to finish with only a $20 million budget, with also having a very talented cast involved with the film. I mean, that's
I mean, the
really
thing is,
impressive.
it's a very amazing set. It is just one building though, and they do reuse kind of like the same four-ish rooms, like over and over again. Like just for the, I'm not saying that that's bad, but like if you look at the rooms they clean, it's pretty much just the
Yeah,
same.
that's true. But even like her apartment and the
Yeah, her
theater
apartment was is you gotta have water in
and
there. So
his like her neighbor, what's his name, Richard Jenkins'
Giles.
character Giles, his apartment, it's crazy. The even the outside when she comes out of her apartment down the stairs by the theater, I mean that's all set and it's beautiful, and they've recreated this you know this 1960s, I guess, where is this based? LA?
Baltimore. It's set
Baltimore?
in Baltimore.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then we have even the Cadillac store. That was some. Why are we talking about production design right now? We'll get into production design later.
We'll get into that.
Yeah,
For now, let's do standout
let's do
scenes.
standout scenes. What is yours?
What's your standout scene?
Oh,
Mine? Okay, I'll go. I'll
Yeah,
go
you go
first.
first.
I got it. Uh, I'm gonna like. I think that my favorite sequence is the when they break out our amphibious creature. But I think for the sake of looking at it artistically, my favorite scene is the scene where it goes into black and white and Sally Hawkins bursts into song and just has like an epic performance
Oh,
with the monster. I don't know why, but I just think that that's like a really cool choice that they decided to do that like random
yeah,
dance number in the middle of the film.
it checks out
This
too.
film almost has a lot of psychedelic transitions and stuff throughout the whole thing, and I don't know. This like in any other film, this would seem really out of place, but The Shape of Water is just weird enough
Yeah.
that I feel like it totally fits in. And I love that they like were goofy enough to throw that in there.
Yeah, exactly.
I just think it's bold and I appreciate it. So that's my
Yeah.
standout scene.
I was watching an interview with Guillermo del Toro, and he said failure and success live next door to each other, and that's very true for this film. He said, he decided he was just going to take a lot of risks, and I would say most of them paid off in this film. And I think
Yeah.
it really is just about how these characters are written and how heartfelt the movie feels, that even though the concept is very strange, it doesn't feel that strange when you're watching it, and you have so much empathy for her character, and you kind of just like you just accept it and you go with it. And
Yeah. Like I think if you read the plot synopsis
yeah,
without seeing anything, you would be like, "What? What is this?"
totally.
a woman falls in love with a fish creature and she's mute. Like, what,
Yeah.
Guillermo? What are you doing?
I said
But then
that
you
this.
watch it and you're like, ah, oh, okay,
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
this is cute.
And it's I said it's like a mixture. It's like this perfect mixture between Romeo and Juliet and Free Willy. Um, it's like the
Nice.
perfect combination. You got that love,
The
unbinding love
romance and the
story.
sea, the life of the sea.
Michael Shannon is trying to destroy their relationship, and then you got free the fish man. You got that sprinkled in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I okay.
Free Willy.
My standout scene might be really weird, but but my standout scene is the actual the scene.
Yeah.
She floods
Okay.
the bathroom, and
It is a
we
very
can
cool scene.
assume that there is some intercourse going on with Eliza and the fishman. But it's not about that in the reason why I'm choosing this as my standout scene, but the fact that this scene is approached so delicately, and it is just breathtaking to watch. I mean,
Yeah.
flooding
For sure.
her bathroom, the water pouring out of all the holes in the door, coming into her living room, the going down underneath the floorboards and seeing the water fill up underneath the floorboards and then rain down onto the theater while these people are watching a movie.
Yeah.
It's just such a beautiful scene with a gorgeous score in the background, and I really love this scene. And I was trying to think about how they actually did that with all the water and stuff, and found out that Guillermo del Toro, and this is really paying respect to how he was able to do so much with a $20 million budget, is he was finding cheats. And basically what they did in this scene was there was no water. There was no water. All the water is CGI.
Yeah.
They filmed it with a bunch of smoke machines to make it look all foggy and smoky. And then they brought in a bunch of really hard fans that were blowing on them so that their faces were distorting and their hair was moving. And then they shot it in slow motion. And then they put it in slow motion and then the CGI water, and it looks like they're underwater. And they did that for all the underwater scenes. And I think that's brilliant. Like who thinks about
Yeah.
that? That's such a smart way to execute such a beautiful scene with, minimal amount of money.
Without actually being able to stick two actors in a tank
Yeah, exactly.
modeled after a bathroom.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I mean, Titanic should take some notes because maybe you didn't need that
For
big of a
real.
budget. Um, I
Yeah.
I know that scene's weird, and I know a lot of people. It's a weird scene, but I think it's just so beautiful, and the fact that it is so weird, and yet I wasn't feeling that uncomfortable watching it. I mean, the other scene
Yeah.
for me, I really like a very simple scene, but the scene where she is trying to convince Richard Jenkins to help her save the fish man. When
Yeah.
she's trying
Great
to convince
performance.
him, and she's like talking in sign language. And yeah, it's a very simple scene, but that scene really got to me, and I was like, damn, Sally Hawkins. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those are our standout scenes. Okay, we got one audience question. Let's do this.
Nice.
The audience question
lone
is, what is your interpretation of the ending? We get this question a lot. What is your interpretation of the ending of the film? Was it real? Was it all like in Richard Jenkins' mind? What is your interpretation of the final stuff?
Well, I guess we'll talk about it now. I think that what literally happens in the end, you got. I think that she dies. I think that she gets killed, and then the fishman jumps into the water, and the fishman turning her wounds or her scars into gills is just something that Richard Jenkins came up with to make him feel
Yeah.
like they had a happy ending.
Yeah.
And I think that that's kind of what Guillermo del Toro was going for, because you have the narration at the start. It's Giles telling the story
Yeah.
about if you ask me what happened at the end,
Yeah, exactly.
what would I say? And then
Yeah.
he's like, well, her love was surrounded in the shape of water. So I think that she dies, and then this is just Giles's kind of artistic view on how she kind of had a happy ending, and they
Yeah,
fell in love and
I
went
agree.
were fish people.
That yeah, that was my interpretation also. I don't know. Because yes, the fishman clearly has some sort of powers to a certain extent, but she was already dead. I mean, I don't think he has the
Hmm.
ability to bring someone back to life. Um,
Yeah, much less transform her into a water breathing
yeah,
fish lady who
and
has gills.
yeah, exactly. I think I agree. I think this was kind of like, and I know we complain about voiceover sometimes, but I really like the voiceovers that they use
Me
in this
too.
film because they only use them for like 30 seconds at the beginning and 30 seconds at the ending, and it gives off more of that fairy tale vibe, and it's like,
And it's not like explicitly telling you what
no, no,
happened.
no,
It's
not at
like
all. It's like
giving
he's
a
telling a
metaphor.
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very similar to Pan's Labyrinth and how Pan's Labyrinth ends and how Pan's Labyrinth is kind of approached. I know you haven't seen it, but it is very similar. And yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's my interpretation of the ending too. I think maybe not a lot of people get that. I don't know. Maybe people take it too literally, but yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of metaphors there. I think this entire film is filled with metaphors, but yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
Well, I
for
guess
sure.
let's take a quick break and then we'll hop into the actual review. Okay,
All right, we are back.
we are back.
Hopping right in.
Oh
Story and
yeah,
originality
story
out of
originality
10%.
out of 10.
This
Well,
is a crazy, unique, and original story.
it is.
Uh,
It is.
I haven't ever seen like this kind of amphibious romance story
Mhm.
before, and I liked Guillermo del Toro's outlook on it. He said that the way he makes films is he uses these fantasy, these crazy, uh, very fictitious ideas to get
Right.
across like real world messages, is what
Yeah.
he says.
Yeah, sure.
So I guess in this case, it's about feeling accepted and feeling loved, even,
Right. Yeah.
under whatever circumstances. Uh, and I like that. I think it's sweet. Is this story like the most crazy intricate? No, but
Mhm. Yeah.
I think that it's a very unique romance story. It's very interesting, um, and I really like the characters in this story. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very unique film. It takes a lot of risks. It doesn't hold back on punches. I think the final act of this film is very intense and fast-paced and awesome. Um, but yeah, I don't think it's the most like creative film if we're actually looking at like the story progression and the actual like
Mm-hmm.
everything that happens. It's fairly it feels like a formula. It feels like something we've seen before, just with a very, very weird love story involved. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think it, like I was saying, it's kind of like Romeo and Juliet meets Free Willy. It does feel like it's following a similar formula in a combination of those two films. Um,
Yeah. And some of the characters do feel pretty cliche. I would say, especially Michael Shannon. His character, I'm not saying, I think his performance is great, and I think the dialogue that's written for him is really great,
hmm.
but his motivations and his character in general just isn't that unique.
Yeah, I can
He's
see
kind of
that.
just
Hmm.
evil government bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of plays the same role that he does in a lot of films where he's just like southern accent,
Yeah, yeah.
America number one kind of guy.
Yeah,
I love Michael Shannon,
I do.
but I
Yeah.
feel like some characters aren't the most creative in this film.
Yeah, that makes sense. I really like Giles and I like Eliza, but I do agree.
Yeah.
Michael Shannon, even Octavia Spencer, they kind of feel like fairly like just characters we've seen already many times in films. And yeah, I think this film can fool you with originality just because of how odd it is, but I don't think it is really that original. It just has a very unique weird love story going on, but the actual like concept of the film and how everything progresses, it's fairly simplistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I gave it an 8 out of 10 for story and originality. I still think it's pretty strong.
I gave it an 8 as well. You can't really go that much lower with the film about a mute woman falling in love with the fish.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 8 out of 10. Let's move on to the beginning. I think that the opening, like, credit scene is some really nice, I guess, CGI. And then I think that the actual opening 5 minutes, not much is said, and, well, I mean, pretty much nothing is said, obviously, because she's mute.
Yeah.
But I think it sets up her character pretty nicely.
Yeah.
And you get a taste of some really awesome lighting, some really nice color work, and some nice tracking shots, too.
Totally. Yeah.
But, I don't think that this is the greatest setup. And it's fairly, boring, I guess, on rewatch. Yeah, I think it's hard to do setup when your main character doesn't talk, though, so I gotta give him credit.
Yeah,
but I think the opening act to this film is the weakest act, and kind of shows.
Yeah, I like the beginning. I mean, I really like that opening long shot with... Dude, the music is so good in this film. I'm gonna keep saying that. But, like, that opening score with that long shot and her, like, floating down onto the couch... I like the beginning. I think that it really gives us a lot of information about her character right away. And yeah, without her talking, we get to see her morning routine. We see her talk with Giles. We see kind of this whole character dynamic between the two. And it honestly, it's not slow. Like we get to the monster coming into the place pretty quickly. Like it's pretty quick how we get there. So yeah, I mean it may not be the most entertaining of setups, but I think they did a really good job with what the film needed to do and to get us invested in these characters nice and quick so we can get on to the actual like main part of the film.
Yeah, and I was going to say I do appreciate that this film it doesn't like the ending climax of this film isn't them stealing Fishman. That happens fairly early. I mean, pretty much like halfway through the film.
Yeah.
And so that I really like that they get straight to the point. They don't have this whole like trying to figure out what it is. It's like boom, right away you know that it's the Fishman.
Yeah.
And Sally Hawkins is curious. Like I like that it doesn't waste any time.
Yeah.
And while that's not in like the opening 5-10 minutes, I pretty much boosted up the beginning a little bit just because I respect that.
Yeah, I agree. And also cinematography, all that, it definitely
really
boosts
great.
it. Yeah.
And the theme, Alexander Desplat can have my heart.
So beautiful. So beautiful. Yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5 for beginning.
I gave it a 4 also. Late 4, but yeah, solid.
Okay, let's move on to ending out of 5. Now, I really do enjoy the final act of this film. I love the violence that occurs. I love how the violence just kind of comes out of nowhere. We've had hints of violence, but it just goes, like, crazy in the last bit. With, like, pretty graphic violence, honestly. They're showing quite a bit of blood. The, like, shootouts.
Michael Shannon gets his throat slit.
Richard Jenkins going randomly 007, just knocking him out with that giant piece of wood.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is a really fun final act of the film. And I do like that it leaves... It may not seem like it leaves it open-ended, but it does leave it quite a bit open-ended. Dude, that final shot of them floating in the water... I mean, it's on the poster, beautiful. But it goes even wider. And it's just, with Richard Jenkins giving his little final monologue over top of it, it gave me chills. I mean, it's a really beautiful final shot. And even though I don't think this is a perfect ending, I think it really executed the like final minute there.
Yeah, I think that it's a very solid ending. We already gave our thoughts on what we think it means. But I think score is beautiful. The shot is really nice. And I do like this narration. I don't feel like it's unwarranted or lazy.
Yeah.
It almost makes the film more open ended.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, there's no one telling you that this isn't necessarily what happened. But I mean, once you hear that this is kind of from the perspective of what Giles is thinking, it almost makes it more open ended, and you can kind of come to your own conclusion about what actually happened to Eliza and the Fishman.
Yeah.
So I like that. I gave the ending a 4% out of 5 as well.
Same, 4 out of
really
5.
Nice ending.
Yeah, it's a really sweet ending. Yeah, I like it. Okay, screenplay and dialogue out of 8. What are your thoughts?
I think that the way that Guillermo and the other writers are able to create a very deep character in Eliza without having her say anything is very impressive to me, because you can tell, like, it's almost like she has dialogue, she's just not saying it, and that's partly the performance. But to write a scene, to like have a clear vision of what you want, but you're not actually getting your character to speak and progressing your story, it's a very hard thing to do. And I think Guillermo del Toro and Vanessa Taylor, the screenwriters, pulled it off very nicely.
Yeah.
And I also really love some of the dialogue in this. I think that Giles' character is very funny. I think Michael Shannon's character is hilarious. His dialogue is great. Even if I don't think he has the deepest character, some of the stuff he says is it's funny. You also have like these random one-off characters like the pie guy.
Yeah, sure.
Just little funny scenes like that that I think that create a better mood for this film.
I like the whole key lime pie joke. Opens up the fridge and has like 10 key lime pies in there. Yeah. I mean, I definitely have problems with this screenplay. There's definitely holes and issues with the screenplay, but I think for what it was meant to do, it did it pretty solidly. I think it did really great job with character development, with making this story feel relatable and real, even though it is totally crazy. It somehow feels very personal and real, and that's a quite a cool thing to do. But I think a lot of that also stems from the performances in this film. My issues with this film are kind of like with story and originality. It just feels kind of too formulated. It feels like something I've seen before, just with different characters. There are also just, I feel like, some of the stakes in characters, like we were saying, Michael Shannon, even like the guy, I don't know, what's the spy, the scientist.
Oh, Dimitri.
Yeah.
I love Dimitri.
Yeah, I like his character, but I just think it
I
is
like the
kind
actor.
of
I like the actor.
it just feels like, pretty classic. And there's just some moments I felt they could have executed a bit better, especially like with the reveal of the Fishman. Like the first time we see him, I felt it was kind of like disappointing. I would have liked a bit more of a dramatic reveal if they had written it in a bit more of a dramatic way. It feels like she just walks in and it's like, yeah, there it is. There's the Fishman. It's like, oh, okay. I would have liked a bit more of a dramatic reveal. I think this is a solid script, especially with the concept. I really like the risks that it took, but yeah, I just don't think it's insane. I don't think it's that strong, honestly.
Yeah, I think that I think that I'm just giving it kind of a bit of extra merit just solely based on the fact that Sally Hawkins' character is very deep and very personal without having dialogue. But overall, I gave it a 6% out of 8. It's definitely not the most crazy, intricate screenplay. It feels like there could have been a much more almost like plot twisty, creative way that this film could have played out. But it just kind of didn't. They steal the fish, and then in the last 20 minutes we get the evil guy trying to get the fish back, and it ends in like a shootout.
Yeah.
And they do kind of try to like interweave like the other half with the Russians, But I mean, I just think that they didn't really put enough time into that storyline for it to like fully come to fruition.
It's a very forgettable storyline. Like I totally forgot that was even a part of the film. Like I was like, oh yeah, I totally forgot this even happened. Like the Michael Shannon.
It also feels very convenient.
Yeah, it does.
Feels like it's only really there just so that they can
to add a bit
escape
extra
with
conflict.
the fish.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
It just gives them an excuse to like have the keys, but then they kind of forget about it, and it's just more about Sally Hawkins' love story.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm being generous with the 6.
I also gave it a 6 out of 8. I don't think it's that bad. I mean, I think the dialogue really boosts it and the characters, but yeah. I gave it a 6 out of 8. Okay, let's move on to soundtrack out of 7.
I think the soundtrack kind of carries the dramatic and romantic moments of this film.
Usually I don't...
Anybody else...
Yeah.
I think if anybody else was on the score other than Mr. Desplat, it wouldn't have been the same. It literally would not have been the same film. I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. It wouldn't have been as entertaining. I mean, like, sometimes I just caught myself, like, just listening to the score and barely even, like, watching the film. It's really beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, what are your thoughts?
I mean, bro, like, this is probably my favorite, like, score in a film where it's just, music. I just think it's so beautiful. And usually I don't like an overabundance of music. I usually prefer, don't use music too much, but I was totally okay with it in this film because I think the music is just so good that I don't care. Like, just keep it playing because it's just every single song. It's not just the theme. Like, every single song in this film, it's so beautiful. And even the song selections in this film, the like 60s music that they choose. The songs that she plays on her record player for The Fishman. Yeah. There's some, like, really, really, really good music in this film. I mean, that, like, the final score, the theme, the one where they're underwater, it's, like, this more lovelier version of the theme. They're just such gorgeous, gorgeous pieces, and they're not epic by any means. They're very, like, piano and string-based. They feel very, like, rooted and grounded.
That's kind of Desplat's style, almost.
Yeah, and it feels simple, but it also feels very experimental at the same time. It's this perfect mixture, I think, of, like, haunting and creepy, but also being lovely and beautiful, and I think that's the perfect tone and vibe of this film. Yeah, I mean, I've listened to the score countless times. It's an easy 7 out of 7 for me.
Yeah. I think that this is one of my all-time favorite scores as well. It's definitely up there, but it's not quite my favorite Desplat film. Score. I think that The Imitation Game and The Grand Budapest Hotel are equal, if not The Grand Budapest Hotel, like, a bit above this, just because, like, the character that it has in that film, and also Philomena has a really great score too, done by him. Sure. And even, like, something like Argo, has a pretty good score too. He's done so many films. He's done The Danish Girl, just so much stuff. Zero Dark 30. Yeah. He's done every Wes Anderson film since Fantastic Mr. Fox. This guy is just a legend. I'm not gonna lie. He's probably my favorite film composer. Yeah. Sorry, Hans Zimmer. Yeah. Easy 7 out of 7 here.
Easy 7 out of 7. Nice. Okay, let's move into production design. Costumes and set. Out of 6.
It's phenomenal.
It is
phenomenal production design.
I mean, oh my god. Every single set is just breathtaking. Yeah. I mean, the place where they keep the fish.
The detail.
Yeah. Even simple stuff like a bus. Like the bus she's on. It's gorgeous. It is. And every single set feels perfectly fitted to the era.
This theater is great.
Yes.
The apartments are great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Even Octavia Spencer's apartment, which we see once for like 2 minutes, has like some personality to it, some flavor.
Totally.
If it's cluttered, like they really took their time with the production design, and I mean they kind of had to. This film is set in the '60s, so they had to match that.
Yeah.
And I mean they had to build a freaking research lab, like a science fiction-y lab, and I mean they did it. And
little like hidden
costumes
fact
too.
Little fun fact, so like the research lab and Michael Shannon's office, the office that overlooks this like research area.
Yeah.
It is the same set used in the movie Hidden Figures, which is also an Octavia Spencer film from the year before. It is the exact same set, and if you watch both films, you will notice it's the exact same set. Obviously,
and they just kept it built, and
and just decorated it differently.
Guillermo saw it and he was like, wait.
Yeah,
I want to use that.
One was for NASA, and this one is for some secret government facility. And
I like it. I like Hidden Figures.
I like it. Yeah, Hidden Figures is pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
I mean, the production design is phenomenal in this film. It won Best Production Design for a reason. It's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the fact that it won Best Production Design a year when Blade Runner 2049 was a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's saying something. That's really, especially with a $20 million budget. I mean, I know that sounds like a lot of money.
I think I agree with it.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
Blade Runner 2049 has epic set design.
Yeah.
But I don't know, there's just something about, like, the care. Like,
totally.
Even something as simple as the bathtub.
Yeah.
It's like, it feels very,
exactly.
It feels like it fits.
Yes.
I mean, they really just fit the vibe of the whole film
and
really well.
I mean, the costumes. I mean, not even just talking about the fish man, but like...
no, we're not.
Sally Hawkins, all of her dresses that she wears, the colors in this film. The colors are so good. This film is like...
I mean, they built all these sets with this green color grade in mind.
Yes.
So, they're all designed to look good when you put it under that science-y
but different
look,
different
it works.
Different like Michael Shannon's house, it has a very yellow color palette. It's very yellow and orange, and it's all built like that, and he wears a yellow cardigan, and it's very, very focused. It reminded me of like Amelie. It's a very focused colored film, and I love that. I think the costumes are perfect. Like, something I noticed, Sally Hawkins at the start of the film, she wears very blue and green dresses that match the like background she's in. It matches the tone of the bus when she's sitting on the bus, and then later when she's falling in love, she's wearing more pink and reds and purples that stand out a bit more. And the color palette changes in this film. It starts with a very like monochromatic look, and then it moves on to like a more analogous, and then all of a sudden it ends this film with the more complementary, with like this blue and red vibe. And I think it's really, really impressive. I think this is the best production design we've seen so far in this podcast, and I thought it was warranted of a 7 out of 6.
Damn. Yeah, fair enough. I'm trying to think about other insane production designs we've had on this podcast. I don't know. I wasn't feeling the 7. I gave it the regular 6 out of 6.
The thing that pushed it to a 7 for me was the fish man, though. Like, that costume. Because that's all a costume.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what pushed it to me.
It's a costume with, like, visual effect enhancements.
Yeah.
But it is a costume.
It is a costume.
There's Doug Jones is in there.
Yep.
Being a fish man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, honestly, in terms of production design, the only real film that rivals it in my eyes is Brazil.
Yeah, I agree. Brazil rivals it with production design. Totally.
Brazil has solid production design.
But I think if we're including costumes, this one boosts up. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
6.
I gave it the 6, but I respect the 7. Let's move on to location selection out of 6. This is kind of like a tricky category because a lot of this film is indoors on the sets. But I think that like some of the locations they go to, like the barn thing where Dimitri will meet his agent.
Yep, with the
and
mountains
the docks
in the
at
background.
the end of the film. The docks just look sick.
That is
in the
such
rain.
a perfect location. Oh my god.
Because I mean, this film is based around water for the whole film, so it
Yeah.
makes sense that you would have the climax in the water, pretty much in the ocean,
Yep.
and with rain. Like there's
Yeah.
something very poetic about that. That's
Totally.
obviously very intentional.
Also, like the
And
area,
I mean,
like that. I guess that is kind of the barn, but they move different places when Michael Shannon is like torturing that guy and he's trying to get information out of him. They go up against this like
on the sand.
this
grain.
like sand pile with this like mountainy background. I mean, I think the location selection in this film is top tier, even though there may not be a
And I
lot
mean,
of them.
even the street that she
Yeah.
lives on, with the theater and the very neon
Yes.
aesthetic, they're
And
good
that-
locations. And I think that, most of it is on sets, but I'm not really taking away that many points for location selection, just because when they do go on location, it's very fitting. None of the locations are out of place.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's very solid location selection.
Yeah, I agree. I give it a 5 out of 6.
I gave it a 5 as well. You don't have to have a lot of locations to get a high mark. You just gotta
Have
be
some
consistently
nice ones.
epic with them.
Yep.
Yeah, let's take a quick break and then we'll come back and hop into cinematography.
Okay, we are back. We are heading in cinematography out
Yeah.
of 10. And okay, yeah, the cinematography is beautiful in this film.
It's very good.
And we did Silence last time, and I think that this film is a clear example. Silence was a clear example of how location selection boosts your cinematography, and for this one, it was production design boosts your cinematography.
For sure.
I think this film is breathtaking to look at. I mean,
for sure.
even the shots that were very simple, they're boosted so much through the colors, through the LUT that is used in this film, through just the overall like simple costumes and makeup used in this film. Even if it's a static shot, it just looks so nice. I don't know. This film really, it's just stunning to look at.
And I love the style that this film kind of has. It's very tracking shot heavy. They're not necessarily the most impressive, crazy tracking shots that are going to grab your attention, but they're just very subtle camera movements. The camera is on a crane for a lot of this film. It follows characters upstairs, that kind of stuff. And I really like that kind of style, because I think it complements this film very well with all these moving pieces. It kind of adds to the almost sci-fi aesthetic. But also, I just love the way that they shoot these locations, like you were saying, with this green, this very deeply green color grade. It just makes the lab look very nice. And I mean, the water that Fishman is in at the lab, the green pool, makes for a very cool first meeting kind of scene.
Right.
And yeah, I think that overall cinematography, it's stylized very nicely. Could use with some more bokeh, but
There's
overall,
so much bokeh in this film, dude. It's gorgeous. There's some beautiful bokeh.
There's some beautiful bokeh, say when she's on the bus, but I think in the lab,
Yeah.
get some more. I think the lighting in the lab is very grim, which benefits the feel of it, but it makes it look a little, maybe a bit too murky for my, giving it some high points. But I still think that this is a very beautiful film. Tough competition that year, obviously. Blade Runner 2049.
Blade Runner 2049. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some just really nice dolly shots in this film too that I just spice stuff up.
Especially when they're cleaning.
I mean, yeah, or when he comes out of the that lab and his fingers were just bitten off, Michael Shannon, and it does this dolly shot into him with an extreme wide angle lens. Such a cool shot.
Yeah.
I mean, Silence is beautiful, but wasn't that creative with their movement in their camera, and I thought this film actually was creative. It might not be crazy in the movement. It's no Children of Men by any means, but they were still doing stuff to spice it up, with the tracking shots, with the pans and the tilts, and just moving the camera a bit more so
Even
that it didn't stay too static. Yeah. Also, like going under the floor, like going. I always like that. If you're going through floorboards and stuff, it's just something that spices up your shots, makes it look like you're doing a continuous take.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Honestly, it might not be a solid one, but this film, I think it was deserving of a 10 out of 10 for me. I just think this film is amazing to look at. I give it a 10 out of 10.
It's very beautiful. I almost want to compare this film like color wise to Inside Llewyn Davis, because they're both very murky greens.
This is Inside Llewyn Davis is too desaturated. I think that because the colors are very vivid in this film.
Yeah, I
even
agree.
Though it's still this murky green.
I love the colors in this film, and I really love the tracking style. But I don't know. I just can't put it at the same level as Silence. I don't know. I like the outdoor stuff a lot. I gave this a 9. It's a strong 9. But yeah, 9 out of 10 for cinematography. Very, very good. Very beautiful film.
I think this film impressed me because, like, usually I don't like indoor stuff. But, like, this film, also, they made a bus look cinematic, dude. Like, how do you do that? Make a bus look, like, absolutely gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's move on to editing out of 8.
I was like watching this film and I was like, this editing, there's nothing that special about it. But then I don't know, just the way that there's like some of the transitions between scenes and some of the mystical stuff is just, it's so impressive to me. Like, I think one of my favorite editing transitions I've seen, period, is right after she the first fish intimacy scene, let's call it, happens. She's riding the bus and she's running her fingers along the window, and the animated raindrops to follow her, and then it it zooms into the droplet and you get like a kaleidoscope effect in as the transition, and I was just like, damn, they really didn't have to do that, but they did, and it's such a much more interesting transition. I think the editing, it's like above average. It's very creative.
Also the visual effects, that's a part of editing.
The visual effects on Fishman are incredible.
Like his eyes, dude, the
way he blinks,
so
he blinks
impressive.
Like sideways. Amazing.
Also
sound
the
mixing,
because all the water
counts too.
Yeah, sound mixing is really good, underwater stuff, but all the water's CGI, let's remember that. And that water I did not think was CGI. It is very, very good CGI water. Very impressive.
I think the only shot that made me, that kind of just made me think, this is CGI, is the shot where he opens the door and the water spills out into the apartment. That's the only time I was like, oh, wait, is that CGI? Like, I was like...
Well, that's because you can't really do that.
You can't do that.
But it looks real.
It's amazing.
It looks
it's
real.
Really good.
Yeah.
Especially just the final shot where they're floating down. It's just...
Totally.
So awesome.
It is... Yeah, the editing is definitely subtle in this film, but if you look at it, it's very impressive. And that's one example, but some of the transitions in this film are very creative.
Yeah.
They don't resolve to just doing a cut to black or a cross dissolve.
Exactly.
They do some cool stuff, some cool swipes, some just
even the transition into my standout scene where they slowly take away the color and fade it to black and white and change the lighting. I don't know. That's kind of stuff. It's weird, but it's quirky and I like it. I like it a lot. It just makes this film stand out and embraces the weirdness and the uniqueness of it. I gave editing... I gave it a 7%. It's a strong 7, though. Strong 7.
I agree. I gave it a 7 out of 8 also. I agree. The only reason I mean, there were a couple continuity errors that I caught. Those are my only things. Not like major, but there was just a couple I was like, like when they're in the washroom with Michael Shannon, she puts down a towel and then it cuts to Michael Shannon and you see her putting down the towel again. Little things like that I was just catching. So that was really the only reason I brought it down a bit.
Yeah. Acting.
Yeah. Acting out of 10. I mean, this film picked up 3 acting noms. Sally Hawkins, Richard Jenkins, as well as Octavia Spencer picked up an acting nom. No wins. I thought Michael Shannon was deserving of a nomination too. I think his performance is really strong.
Any of the performances deserved like Oscars, but I like that they got nominated, especially Sally Hawkins. I mean, in my opinion, she gives the strongest performance. She, without words, she manages to just give an amazing performance. Like, her facial expressions are so detailed, and just her nuances and the way she moves, the way she does everything. I think that this character is written very well, but it really wouldn't have come to life without this performance. You can, have, as a director, have all this character development in your mind for this mute character, but if Sally Hawkins doesn't give an incredible performance, that character development is not going to be visible to the audience.
Yeah.
So I mean, true. I just love like the physical acting that she does.
And she just, it feels so pure and heartfelt. Like she feels like such a relatable character. She creates this character that you have so much empathy for, and that you it's full of heart, and I love that. I think it's such a beautiful performance. I mean, obviously, Frances McDormand that year for 3 Billboards won, and I think that was deserving.
Oh, yeah,
totally. An incredible performance. But, I mean, this is a fantastic performance. She really nails, like, she really carries this film. Like, as far as, you know, I was talking about screenplay and character development, a lot of that does come from her performance, like you were saying. Michael Shannon is chilling. He's terrifying. He gives a great performance. I mean, maybe his character isn't the best written character, but he takes the work and he does it. He really pulls it off.
Michael Shannon is he's so good at those kind of characters, like in Nocturnal Animals too. Amazing performance. And you know what surprised me is this man is only 46 years old. He was like 43 when he did this film. I thought he would be in his like 50s or something. He just has like that that like, I don't know, hardened edge, like southern feel. But nah, he's got a lot of performances left, so that's good.
And then I mean, Octavia Spencer, she doesn't do that much with her character. I think she has some funny lines. I think her scene at the end with Michael Shannon she gave a really good performance. That's the only time you really see her doing anything dramatic.
And Richard Jenkins is
I do
solid
feel like,
too.
Yeah, and Doug Jones, obviously, gotta talk about Doug Jones as the amphibian man. Like, he is basically the Andy Serkis of prosthetics, in a way. You know, he's done so many prosthetic work, and he is, you know, kind of a legend. I mean, that's basically what I have to say about performances. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I don't think any performance really was that crazy, but I think it's definitely deserving of a 9 out of 10. It's a really strong ensemble performance from everyone.
For sure. Very, very solid. I'd love to see Sally Hawkins in some more dramatic roles, not in, like, Paddington, because I really don't think I've seen her in anything else other than The Shape of Water that's been notable. Love to see where she goes in her career. Let's move on to... I also gave it a 9% if I didn't say it. Let's move on to entertainment value out of 10%.
Entertainment value, I think this film is, for what it is, it's very entertaining. It's very fun. It's I think the visuals definitely carry a lot of the entertainment for me, as well as the soundtrack. I definitely think there are slow moments in this film, especially the fact that, you know, we have 2 main characters who don't talk. There is definitely moments that feel like they're dragging a bit. But I I do think for what it is, it's a pretty fun film, and I enjoyed rewatching it. I mean, I hadn't seen this film in like 3.5 years, but I still
Yeah.
really enjoyed watching it, and I had fun with it.
Yeah. I hadn't seen it since it won Best Picture, and I had to check out the Fish movie. And it was honestly like a pleasant surprise. I remember the first time I watched it, I think I was decently bored. Like, I didn't have the greatest first viewing experience, but this time around it kept me entertained the whole time. I was listening to the score and enjoying it. I was impressed by all the technical aspects of it. But the story is not necessarily the most captivating, intense story out there.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's incredible in entertainment value, but it's definitely very solid. 2 hour runtime.
Yeah.
It's got some rewatchability too. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think I enjoyed this more on my second viewing as well, which is saying something. Maybe it grows on you the more you watch it. Yeah. I went into the first time watching it kind of like pissed that it won Best Picture because I hadn't seen it yet until after it won Best Picture.
True.
Yeah, but I think it's a fun film. I enjoyed rewatching it. It is, it's cool. It's a cool film, and if you're open-minded and if you go into this with just like a acceptance of what it is, and there's some weird stuff going on in this film, if you can accept that and you can just enjoy it, I mean, I think a lot of people will actually really love this film. I mean, this film kind of feels like it's a classic,
Yeah.
It has this like classic 60s film vibe to it, and I feel like this is a movie that 30 years from now is going to be considered a classic.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
That's something special. Yeah, I give it an 8 out of 10 for entertainment value.
I gave an 8 as well. So yeah,
Nice.
let's move on and finish things up with overall technical achievement.
Yep.
I mean,
out of
this
15.
film is very technically impressive. It definitely has some of my favorite cinematography and my favorite editing that we've seen so far. I feel like we haven't seen that many greatly edited films yet.
Edited films,
I think Raging Bull, and honestly, I'm thinking Ending Things are up there for me. Just because I'm thinking Ending Things has like such, it sets like such a weird pace with its editing. It's very subtle too. So we haven't really had anything that I've truly been impressed by on that front. So definitely one of the better edited films. And yeah, I overall think that all the technical aspects carry this film. The visual effects are great. The sets are great. I mean, yeah, sound mixing is very well done. All the shots are clean. I mean, I think that this is deserving of a 14%.
I agree. I think it is deserving of 14. If I'm looking at my scores, 10 for cinematography, 7 for editing, 7 for soundtrack. I gave it that extra point for production design. I mean, it makes sense for me. 14 out of 15. Sweet.
All right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll tally up our final scores and spin the wheel for next week.
Spin the wheel.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
All right. We got our final scores ready for the Shape of Water 2017. What'd you give it overall?
Okay, this movie scored way higher than I was expecting it to. I don't know. This film wowed me on second viewing. I think it was. I don't know. It's much better.
It's a modern
than
masterpiece. It's like a.
It kind of is.
It's going to be a classic of modern cinema. Looking back.
And yeah, maybe the screenplay isn't that enticing or that interesting, but it is, just a really solid film with some really just beautiful technical achievement. I gave The Shape of Water an 89%. Weirdly, this is my third 89 in a row. Nocturnal Animals,
third 89 in a row.
And now The Shape of Water, 89.
Was Nocturnal Animals really? No, we did Inside Llewyn Davis in between.
Oh, okay. So it's not my third 89 in a row. But, yeah.
Not quite cracking the 90 barrier. Nice.
Not quite, yeah.
I gave The Shape of Water, not quite as high, but I gave it an 87%. So
87.
that obviously averages out to an 88 and edges out Inglourious Bastards, squeezing into the top 5.
Ooh.
So, yeah,
Damn.
we got a very solid top 5 films now.
Yes,
Yeah,
we do.
It's going to be tough to break in to the top 5. You're going to need an average of over 88% now. So,
yeah.
Looking solid. Our list is looking very solid. We've reviewed such a wide variety of films. I'm excited to see where we're going to end up next. And Get Out, as we mentioned earlier, is going to be going on.
Get Out's going on the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, well, I got the wheel pulled up here. Let's do this. Dude, let's do this. New screen recording. Okay. And we are spinning in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. What are we landing on? Ooh. We have landed on Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Ooh. I love this film. I love Charlie Kaufman. Say that.
Dude, this movie is so heartbreaking. It's just I don't know if I'm emotionally ready to rewatch this film, but I'm gonna have to be. I gotta do it for the podcast. Gotta do it for the podcast.
It's a beautiful film.
It really is.
It's a beautiful film.
Yeah.
I got the plot synopsis here.
Okay.
Ready to go. Joel and Clementine begin a relationship post a train journey together, unaware that they had previously been in a relationship, the memories of which were clinically erased.
Got a little bit dystopian.
It's like a love story in reverse. Almost, if that makes sense.
It's definitely weird how the film plays out, but it's not, it's not crazy. It's a little crazy, but it's not, I'm thinking of ending things, It's definitely more enjoyable for the average audience.
It's not quite as pretentious as I'm thinking.
Not quite as pretentious. Sure. Not nearly.
Yeah.
This movie is on Netflix. I know that. So everyone who hasn't seen Eternal Sunshine or, just wants to rewatch it, go watch Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It's a fantastic film. It's on Netflix. You don't have an excuse. Go watch it. And that's going to be our 22nd movie. So there you go.
Get Out is now on the wheel also. Pretty much wraps up our review of The Shape of Water. Great scores all around, and next week we'll be doing Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, so tune in to that.
Okay, thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to Slightly Qualified Film Students.
Make sure to tune in next week for a new film discussion and review.
Our theme song is Slightly Sexy by Thompson Springs.
Make sure to subscribe and leave us a like.
Send us feedback and comments as well as your thoughts on the film. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at S_Q_F_S.
If you would like to send us a question or a comment for next week's episode, you can email us at sqfilmstudents@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye.